During the 16 Days of Action 2022 campaign,
Gosa Girls on Fire and Tech Shack Tactical TV interview ordinary but outstanding women.
Hashtag I am every woman.
In our interviews, we honor outstanding businesswomen who have made a difference in their specific sphere of society to ladies who have overcome horrific gender-based violence incidences.
We believe in action, not activism.
Why are women continually cast as helpless victims?
Bystanders to their own fate, presuming that victimhood is a fait accompli. We are not simply deer in the headlights of gender-based violence.
We can and will stand up for ourselves.
We are not second-class citizens who need special days and men standing up for us.
We say no more.
Activism does not change the minds of predators.
Predators will always be predators, waiting in the dark to claim their victims. Standing on street corners with placards saying that we are against gender-based violence has and never alone make a difference. Take action now, not to be a victim, and be a strong woman. Do not put your trust in anybody else except yourself. Take the example from the strong women in these interviews and be a warrior. Hashtag victim no longer. Lynette Oxley here for Tech Shack Tactical TV and Gosa Girls on Fire. Today with speaking to Joanita. She's from Smittenlovefoundation. Am I correct, Joanita?
Yes, that's correct.
Welcome and thank you very much for talking to us.
No, it's a pleasure.
Tell me first a little bit about Smittenlovefoundation. It's also written very interesting. I will write it in the when we actually do the video itself and on YouTube. It's spelled very interesting. So maybe just have a chat to me about that first.
Yes, okay, let me tell you first where I came on the name. Okay, my surname is Smit. So that's basically where the Smitten comes from. It's from my surname Smit. And then love comes from just basically my motto in life. I believe that love conquers everything. If you can love a person and they can love you back, then nothing can stand, in your way. So I basically started my journey on a very weird way on TikTok. So on TikTok, my username is Smittenlovefoundation, obviously not Afrikaans because I'm Afrikaans. So that's kind of where it came in. I mean, obviously foundation speaks for itself. And then, like you say, you will now spell it out. The I of the smitten, I replaced that with a semicolon. Okay, why a semicolon? Semicolon is an international symbol that reminds us of people suffering from mental health disorders. It's a reminder. I always, when I explain it to people, I say when you write a story and you put a semicolon at the end of a sentence, it means, the sentence is not ending, it's still going on. So the author doesn't end the story. The same goes for mental health illnesses or disorders. We are the authors of our own lives. And yes, we can make a decision to end our lives like I did. But I was saved, and luckily enough, so I think it was in 2000 and something. I'm not sure about the date now. They originally started it in America, where people got the semicolon as a tattoo, basically to remind us that, your story isn't over yet. You still have a story to tell, to remind us, about, or how can I say, to, make us aware of suicide and the impact it has on a person and on a community. So it's basically a reminder to people like me, suffering from mental health disorders, that your story is not over yet. Even though you are the author of your life, your story isn't over. You eventually make the decision. I also have the tattoo. Mine is just with a heartbeat as well, and to remind me that, my heart will only stop when the great author, decided, not myself, because although I'm an author of my own life, I'm not the one that's going to end the story.
Are you happy to talk to us about your story? What brought you to this point that you actually started the foundation?
Yeah, okay.
I know it's hard.
It's a long story. Now I'll try and do it without crying. I think I'm fine. So basically what happened, I'm 46 years old now. Okay, so basically what happened 30 years ago when I was 16 years old, I was still staying in Bloemfontein with my parents, and I went to one of my friend's birthday party. And I will just tell in short, I mean, if you want to know more details, I'm more than willing. I mean, my story is out there on, in newspapers and on social media and everywhere. So I'm open to questions. But anyways, so long story short, I was then gang raped by 4 young men. And, we're now talking about 1992. Yeah, 1992, I think. That's what we're talking about now. In those years, rape was not something that was spoken about. I mean, we still had that stigma of, it was because you were wearing something or you were saying something or doing something or whatever. So I never spoke to anyone about it. I kept it to myself. In South Africa, they didn't do a lot for women that were raped. There were not a lot of women in the police force. If you wanted to, go to the police to open a case, it was the cold police station. There was no special area for people going through this, where you could still feel safe. It's very clinical and cold and unwelcoming, and it's something that you don't want when you've been through something like that. Okay, so I basically kept quiet about it for many years. And around the age of 18, I started to suffer from depression, but, never really realizing what's going on. I got married. I did tell my husband that I was raped, but I'd never told him, like it was a gang rape or anything like that. I did tell him that I was raped, but never gave him any details. Then when I was 24, so that was 2020, 2000. I think it was 2000. I was 24 years old, and I just couldn't cope anymore. So I tried to take my own life. I was very fortunate, although I was basically near the end. I was lucky that I was found by someone, and they did take me through to the hospital. Where I went through a lot of bad things, but eventually I lived to tell my story. Life just went on, and I just carried on with life, kind of at that stage in my life, I've put the whole rape thing in the back of my mind. I didn't think about it. I didn't talk about it. And around the age of 30, I started to battle with my mental health very badly. It was after my second pregnancy, but I also did lose a child. My firstborn I lost. And then I got pregnant and I had my daughter, and 9 months later I was pregnant again and I had my second daughter. So, I kind of thought, no, it's maybe just a bit baby blues or whatever. And I did see my GP, he prescribed some medication. I never got better. And I eventually had a total nervous breakdown. Landed in hospital where I met the most awesome psychiatrist. If it wasn't for him, I also think I wouldn't have been here today. So I went into a psychiatric hospital for about 3 weeks, where they diagnosed me eventually with bipolar and PTSD, OCD. I have a terrible anxiety disorder. And then also, you get an IQ. You get an IQ for being an empath. So mine is extremely high, which is a good thing in some sense. It can be bad for me sometimes, but it's a good thing. So, while I was in hospital and when I came out of hospital, I realized how misinformed people are. And then in that period, I, for the first time, opened up about my rape at my psychologist, and we worked through everything. It was then for the first time that I also told my parents about it, and I also told my husband for the first time that it was a gang rape. I gave him the details of what happened. So with a lot of therapy and some medication, I'm living kind of a normal life. And then COVID happened. Okay, in this process, I had my own school as well, but I had to close it after COVID. But then COVID happened. And all of a sudden, I could see that on social media, I picked up that, there's a lot of people suffering. And we all know the bad increase in gender-based violence during COVID. Yeah, and a lot of people started to suffer mentally because of COVID. And then I realized, you know what, there's not a lot of help out there. Not everyone can afford it to go to a psychologist because they are expensive. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone want to go out there and ask for help because of all the stigmas around it. Whether it's a mental health disorder, whether you're being abused by someone. Now, people that's been in a relationship where there's gender-based violence, they're too afraid to ask. So I picked up, there is definitely a very high demand for like therapists or counselors or whatever. So I did a very short course in counseling so that I could just start, a little bit, and social media can be an extremely bad platform. Absolutely. That I've seen as well. Yeah, it can be extremely bad platform. But in my case, I decided to make social media a platform, a good place, a safe place. And I've reached so many people, so many young people that also, that were raped, that never spoke about it, that opened up, to me. And while I was doing this, I realized, listen, this is getting not out of control, but this is getting, to a stage where people really need to know there is a safe place that we can go to. There is a phone number we can phone 24/7. There's an email address we can reach out to or whatever. Or, what, I just wanted to share my story. And a lot of people ask me, how can you share your story? How can you get on social media and talk about these things? And the whole thing is because of everything that happened to me over this period of 30 years. That was the seed, I think, that was planted. I know it sounds so weird today to say kind of it had to happen to me.
It was your destiny.
Yeah, it was my destiny. There was a reason why it happened to me. There's a reason why I was not successful with my suicide. There's a reason why I suffer from mental health disorders. There's a reason why I'm an empath. I understand people so good. Sometimes they just look at me and then I can tell them, listen, what's wrong? What's going on? So, that's basically why I decided to start the foundation, to have a safe place for people to come to, and then also to just let them know, you know what, you're not alone. There's more than one of us. There's a lot of us. And, also just by reading my story and seeing what what I went through and what I'm still going through every single day, to take that as your survival guide to get through life, or a survival guide to just get through what you're going through today, just get through today. If I could make it for 30 years, then you can do it just for today. So, that's basically where I started, or why I started the foundation. It's still in the baby shoes. I only started it in, I think, May of this year. So it's still very new. I had to put it on the back burner for about 2 months as my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, so I couldn't work at all for 2 months. I had to go and look after him. But I'm back now, and now we're going to take everything again from here on.
That's absolutely, it's a horrific story, but your survival and what you've done is what makes the difference. You're not a victim.
No, I'm not a victim.
You're a warrior.
I don't see myself as a victim. I will never speak about myself as a victim. I will never. You will also see wherever there's something written about me or someone is saying about me, they will always say a gang rape survivor. I don't see myself as a victim. I had a very difficult time. I have not, to be honest with you, I have not forgiven them. I
Have
will
they ever
never be.
been charged? Has there any
No,
cases been? Nothing?
no, I didn't open any cases. I mean, it changed a lot in South Africa, with me now dealing with people being raped, specifically in the East Rand where I stay. It changed a lot, and it's a lot nicer and more,
Victim
I don't
friendly.
know. Yeah, it's more friendly and warm, and you don't need to go to a government hospital anymore. You don't need to go to the police station. They come out to you. So it changed a lot, but um, I believe that, you know what? Who am I to judge them? They will have to. They will have to one day tell someone else why they did what they did. The biggest thing that I had to do is I had to forgive myself. I had to get to the point where I was, could say, I did nothing wrong. I did not wear the wrong clothes. I did not say something that was wrong, because that was my biggest problem. That I was the whole time. And that's because of the stigma that's out there, that people are, still today saying, you're getting raped, or you're being abused because what you're wearing, or how you treat your husband, or something like that. And then I always ask them, okay, now explain to me a 6-month-old baby being raped. What did that baby do? Please tell me. What could that baby say? What could that baby wear? So, yeah, that stigma, I'm working very hard on that. That's my main focus at this stage, is to just get rid of the stigmas that's around it, and to give women, to empower women and children to stand up for themselves, and to not be afraid if they're in a relationship where they're being abused, in whichever way they're being abused.
It's very much like what Girls on Fire do, is we say we're not victims, and we are
Yeah.
also every woman. You don't. We stand for everybody.
Yes.
You are studying further. I saw something in,
Yes.
and
Yes.
what are
I'm
you
now
studying at this
studying.
stage?
Yeah. I'm studying to be an advanced therapist now. Only reason why I'm doing that is, with my counseling course, I could basically just help people with mental health disorders. But then, because of my experience with a rape and everything, I help them as well. If I do when I finish my advanced therapist course now, I will be able to work with more people, more varieties, more fields. I can now go more into people, because there's a very big need for people that's drug abusers, or not even just drug abusers, but people that's abusing medication, and things like that. And there's a very big demand for therapists under the youth. A lot of people don't want to work with young people, so that's part of my studies as well. I'm going to do a lot of work with older people as well. What else is there? There's so many things. It's 16 new fields that I'm not qualified in, that I will be qualifying in now. So, yeah.
Well, I wish you the best with that. The other
Thanks.
thing is, COVID has changed things. You also mentioned that you can do
Yeah.
sessions online. It's
Online.
also
Yeah.
a new way of doing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And most of my sessions is done online. At this moment, everyone, because I've literally have people in Namibia and in America that I'm also counseling. So that's a nice thing. It does come with some hurdles. We now have load shedding, so you have to reschedule counseling sessions. And then just sometimes, it's very important to read someone's body language, especially when in a specific situation. So that's sometimes a bit difficult to read body language. But because I'm so, locked into other people's emotions, I can pick up something without them telling me. But with technology now, and with COVID, COVID was not just bad. COVID came with a lot of other stuff that was actually good, because now you can reach people, without them having to get out of the house or whatever. They don't need to have a car to come and see you. And because I'm doing my counseling online, I'm also doing everything at this moment pro rata. I'm not charging anything for counseling at this moment. You did not ask to be abused. You did not ask to get a mental health disorder or anything like that. So why must I ask you money to get help?
Well, you're doing fantastic work. Thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend. I'm every woman. I have taken up arms and I choose to defend all that I hold dear. Independent and strong, you will not keep me down. You can't break me. I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. Countless hours on the range, I am responsibly armed. I am your equal. I've empowered myself. I have practiced and trained. Fear won't control me. With my sisters in arms, we will make ourselves heard. We'll stand together. I'm a girl